All right, and you are live on YouTube.
Good evening. I would like to open the Architectural Review Committee meeting, which is on April 8th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. So we will do a roll call of members who are here tonight. Nancy Jorgensen,
Present.
Paige McMahon,
Present.
Carol Marsh,
Present.
and I am Bernadette McLeod, and I'm your chair tonight, and I am present. So first on our agenda, we have Cameron Hadfield representing Nostit Gastronomy. Are you here, Cameron? Yes, you are.
How you doing?
Good. How are you? Can you
Yes,
just
I'll-
give us a little synopsis of your sign application?
Yeah, of course. So the location is 222 Main Street. It was Toast to the Coast last year, Nauset Beach Club before that. And then I just found out Ryan Ginger prior to that. That was new to me. I didn't know that. But the sign we're proposing, it's navy with the white logo, just lettering with a small surfboard underneath. Just the two colors. It's about 4 feet wide by little under 3.5 feet tall. It fits right in the existing signpost that's there, close to the road on the patio side there.
Mhm.
And it's called The Rail, or it's called Nauset Gastronomy?
Yes, ma'am. So it's called The Rail. Nauset Gastronomy is the corporate name.
Okay, The Rail. Okay, great. Well, it looks like a nice sign, and it's the same dimensions as what was there, you said? Same size? Okay.
Yeah, it
Do we
does,
have any? Go ahead.
Sorry, no, I just wanted to make sure. It is slightly larger than the last sign, just because the Toast to the Coast sign, it wasn't a square. It was, in the shape of a slice of bread. So ours ends
Okay.
up being slightly wider, but it does fit within the existing post.
Cameron, I have a
Okay.
silly question.
Yeah, of course.
The rail, is that a surfing term?
It is, yeah. So the rail, it refers to the side of the board.
Okay.
So we've worked that into the logo a little bit. And when we're here early, we see a lot of the surfers go out to Nauset and drive in. I don't actually surf. I've tried it once or twice. It's fun, but I'm not very good at it.
Well, I'm a senior who doesn't surf, and I'm trying to figure the rail. But when I saw the surfboard, I figured it had to be a surfing term.
Yeah. So it's the edge of the board. It depending on the size board you have, it's thicker, thinner. It controls a little bit of how you move.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Of course.
Any other questions, Carol?
This is not really applicable to our committee meeting, but I was wondering, is it going to be different than the Toast to the Coast? You're still doing breakfast and lunch?
Yep. Yeah. Still breakfast and lunch. We are trying to just kick it up a notch, little more. My brother's a chef. He's got a lot of talent, got a lot of creativity. So giving him an engine to kind of experiment, but broadly still, American breakfast food. So the website's up, the menu's on there if you'd like to take a look, therailorleans.com.
Oh, great. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
When are you opening?
If we get enough luck, next weekend.
Wow.
So we got a lot to do. Talking with the health department, a few minor, last minute things, but I think we're on target for next weekend. We're trying to get the April vacation rush there, and hopefully we can. If not, by the end of April for sure.
Great.
Fabulous. Well, best of luck to
Excellent.
you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Is there any lighting that you're proposing?
For the side, so the post does have two downlit on either side of it that are existing and
Okay.
wired in currently. They are fully closed off on the top, dark skies compliant, all that. We don't propose any changes to that.
Okay, great. Any other questions or comments from the committee?
No.
Okay, anybody want to entertain a motion?
I propose that we accept the application as presented.
I second it.
All in favor? I'll take a roll call. Paige,
Aye.
Nancy,
Aye.
Carol,
Aye.
Bernadette says aye, and the motion passes 4-0-0. Best of luck.
Great.
Welcome to Orleans.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's a great spot to be. I actually, I live in town as of last year, so I'm pretty happy here.
Good.
Congrats.
We're excited. Thank you very much.
We'll be in.
Good for you.
Okay, next on the agenda, moving quickly, we have 42 Old Colony Way, Old Colony Village. And that is new exterior siding, trim, deck and railing replacement, new exterior egress, stair, and utility closet doors, limited structural and roof repairs, and site improvement. And who is representing Old Colony Village tonight?
I'm John Economist. I'm one of the owners, and I'll be the project manager for this upgrade. And I'm going to introduce Ed Safune, is our architect with DBVW, and Ed will be able to answer questions and describe the project.
Great.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
That was a mouthful in terms of explaining our scope, but basically we're looking at the Hancock 2, 3, and 4 buildings and trying to do a lot of exterior repairs, mostly precipitated by the decks that have deteriorated on the north sides of the buildings. Those really need some serious attention. And then as we've looked at the exterior of the buildings in their totality, it's led to expanding the scope to replace the siding, replace deteriorated trim, and try and get these buildings in a place that is much more low maintenance than all of the wood materials that have been out there since the buildings were first constructed. You know from living in town that the weather's not kind to porches and decks, and if you don't stay on top of them, particularly wood construction, they can deteriorate rather quickly. So we're hoping that this solves a big problem for the condo association in the long term, and we're looking to replace those materials with much more durable materials, fiber cement siding, PVC trim, composite railings and decks. And we think that ultimately from the street as well as from the surrounding property, everything will look much nicer. And this hopefully will set the benchmark as they move forward with repairs to the other buildings.
Okay, can you just go over, we've got a large booklet here. Just go over which materials you're actually using.
Sure. The presentation that I had put together, I can actually share this and walk you through it if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Give me 1 second here. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is just an overview. The aerial, I can actually draw on this. Bear with me. So these are the 3 buildings that we're speaking of in this application. Those are the Hancock buildings. Let me get out of that so I can come to the next. Sorry, this thing's not very user-friendly at times. Okay, this is photos of the existing conditions. This is Hancock 2. You can see the pressure-treated decks on the south sides of the building and the cedar shakes on the exterior. This is the north side. I'm sorry, this is the south side again. They're very long buildings if you've never been to them now. Not architecturally exciting, but they're intact. You come around the side and they turn into shingles. And along the back, this is the area that's extremely deteriorated. These low knee walls and wing walls, the utility closets, they require some significant structural work in order to make them safe and continue their capacity as occupied decks. And this is the area that's, like I said, started the whole process here. I'll go rather quickly so I don't bore you. Hancock 3 is in a little bit better condition. Same issues though, in terms of the decks and the siding. The decks have been replaced over time again. Unfortunately, the pressure treated materials due to the exposure on the south side tend to get baked by the sun. So since they were never painted or stained, they warp and check, and it causes more water to get in there, and it causes them to fail prematurely. So our scope here is, again, to try and work with the forms that are here with more durable materials. Biggest change that you'll see in a moment on these back decks, the little solid low knee walls, we're proposing to put back as open railings, mostly to make sure that the water freely drains off of them. Those low walls have traditionally trapped some water up there. And then again, Hancock 4, same issues. As part of this work, there'll be some site upgrades as well, and those aren't included in this. The association will come back once they figure out the plans for that at a later date. We really just wanted to deal with the exterior of the buildings. And then the back of Hancock 4, again, very similar to the others. Water's basically just gotten into everything everywhere. And then our proposal, if I can zoom in here, it'd be better to see this. Our proposal is to put back a fiber cement hardy stake with straight exposure. Sometimes you see them with the jagged shake look. These are more shingles where they're straight across, which emulate more what's there now, in a very muted palette. And then on the utility closets, we would go with a board and batten treatment, as well as on the wing walls. We'd be trimming out all of the windows, and again, up at the eaves lines, new gutters and PVC trim there. You can see the open railings on the decks. And then it's very difficult to see because it's a tone on tone. We would have one color siding on the vertical elements and the protruding portions of the building, and then a lighter tone on the back wall, if you will. And then two of the buildings would be that scheme with the taupe and cobblestone. As I said, they're tone on tone. This is what the back of the building would look like, again, with getting rid of those low walls and introducing open rails. And I'm going to pan back out again. The shingle look on the sides and that board and batten on the vertical closets. And then the other building would be the reverse of this. It would be the inverse of the color scheme. So they're all sympathetic with each other. They don't really stand out, and it's more in keeping with that sort of natural tan look that they have going with the real cedar shingles that are on the buildings presently. We did include in the second packet, and I'll jump to that now, the materials that we would be proposing here. And this is the hardy shingle. And I'll flip, which has been approved before. And we would be using it both in, as I said, the straight shingle, as well as in the vertical board and batten. And here's some photos of some of that on other buildings, which I thought would be a good reference point. Everything at this point would be smooth. We tend not to try and get those fake wood grain products. It just doesn't look honest. And then here's that straight edge panel. And I'm flipping rather quickly here, but there's also on the soffits underneath the eave overhangs and in where those deep porches are, we would have vented panels on the short eaves. And then we would go with a beadboard panel on the porches. So up at that third floor level, directly under the roof, it would look a little bit more New England inspired as opposed to, you know, just the raw plywood that's been up there since the building was constructed. These were those two colors that we were proposing. As I said, you can see they're very subtle, the Monterey taupe and the cobblestone in the rendering.
Hmm.
And then all of the trim would be white. Railings would be white.
Are you using an AZAC for like a composite for the trim, or are you using something by Hardy?
No, we actually are using AZEK trim, but we're actually going to paint it so that it softens that stark white, you know, that fresh out of the warehouse look. The good thing with the PVC product is it's fairly stable compared to wood, and the paint should last a good 15 to 20 years before it needs touching up.
Mhm.
Because the moisture can't affect the PVC.
Right. Okay, and you're replacing some of the doors, or what were the doors that you had?
We are, as part of this work, we're looking to replace the egress stair doors on the front side of the building, on the street side, as well as the stair towers on the south side of the building. And our base bid is to go back with, since they have to be fire rated, unfortunately, we're proposing stainless steel doors and frames, which will hold up much better with the salt air environment out there. Part of the issue that they have with the existing doors is they're all just painted metal, and they've rusted and caused all kinds of issues. These will hold up in the long term, and then depending on where the numbers come back, we may have to, again, I apologize for flipping here, but you have them in your pack. The alternate is to go back with the galvanized steel door, which fortunately is available in something that's a little bit more sympathetic with the aesthetics, as opposed to just a traditional flush door. But the doors that are there now are just painted flush hollow metal doors. So I'm hoping the numbers allow them to go with the stainless, because they do hold up better. And then on those utility closets, those stacks, they have storage rooms and air conditioning compressors located in those closets for each one of the units. And those doors are well beyond saving at this point. We're actually proposing going back with a fiberglass door, a Therma-Tru fiberglass door,
Mhm.
in a simple 2-panel design. And then trimmed out with the AZEK PVC trim and painted. We think they'll look a little bit nicer. This will actually really only be visible from the inside the units. You really can't see these from the street because you have to get up onto the deck in order to see it.
So there's a deck, there's a closet on the deck, on each deck?
Yes, that vertical stack,
Okay, uh-huh,
let me go back. See this vertical element?
yeah.
Those are the utility closets, and the doors actually face in. The
Okay.
stair doors are actually on the sides of the building. I'm going to go back to the pictures. And watch, I can't find one.
I didn't even see any stairs on any of these
Yeah,
pictures.
Right here, you see this brown door? Right?
Okay, okay, the stairs inside.
They're interior stairs. On the front side, they're fire stairs from the corridor. On the back side, they only serve the deck. But both sides, unfortunately, are rated egress stairs from the building. So we want to make sure that those things stay operational and compliant.
So that's where you want to put the stainless steel ones?
Correct.
And then I mean, do they look like stainless steel? Do they look
They
like
do.
they paint? They're just like a brushed stainless or something? I mean, they're not shiny.
It's a mill finish stainless from the factory.
Uh-huh.
Let me go back to the picture. That's pretty much what they look like.
Wow.
Yeah, they're a little bit different than the dark brown doors that are there now. One of the things we did discuss was the potential to paint it. We're kind of a little reluctant to do that, but we wanted to see what your thoughts were.
I mean, do they scratch?
Not really.
No? Not like a
They'll
refrigerator.
definitely stand out.
They certainly will stand out.
Luckily, they're on the sides and not on the very long face of the buildings. So we're hoping the ones in the back, nobody notices.
And would you repeat why this is the door that you think is the best one to choose?
We need a fire rating and we're looking for something with more durability long-term to withstand the salt air environment. The galvanized metal just doesn't hold up. It's our fallback with those embossed doors if cost is an issue. So we would actually like to get approval for both and then come back to you once we determine with the budget where we fall.
Down the road, if these doors don't hold up well as far as looks and scratches, could they be painted?
Yes, they could. The issue is really, they're not, once you paint the door like this, you have to stay up on it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like a wood door, but it's still a maintenance issue.
Okay.
And is it because it's a commercial building that it has to have, I mean, aren't there lots of different kinds of fire doors? Aren't there some fire doors that are fiberglass or are they all steel?
Fiberglass doors, unfortunately, are only available with the 20-minute rating. And we
Right.
actually need doors that are 60 minutes
Okay.
Oh,
into
Yeah.
that. And part of the reason why we went with the alternate door here with the steel is because it's available in 60 and even 90-minute if necessary. We don't require that on these buildings, but we started this conversation with the association looking at the fiberglass doors, only to come to the realization that Therma-Tru doesn't make a 60-minute door.
Mhm.
Because then we could get them all to match. It would look a lot nicer,
right.
Right. But like you said, it's not going to be visible.
No, they're on those side walls, those side elevations. So at least they're,
Okay.
directly in front of you when you're standing on the street.
Right.
And I think if necessary, we could look into painting them, down the road if they're that obtrusive, but we kind of felt that given the position, it wouldn't be necessary.
Right, and then the painting would have to be maintained.
Yeah, and I mean, you've seen enough buildings with peeling paint to know that sometimes that's more of an attractive nuisance than, at least aesthetically.
Right.
What about the railings? What are you using for railings for the for the decks.
Railings? I thought I had them in here. We are looking at, hold on a second. Maybe I didn't. Maybe that was the one thing I missed. Bear with
You
me.
know, are they white? They're not showing white in your rendering, but I'm sure that they are.
They are gonna be white. They're, oh, I didn't put that in here. I apologize. I thought I had them in there. They are going to be white. I think we're looking at the, it's one of the Trex companies that makes them.
The Landmark? Is it Landmark?
I believe that's the one.
They'll,
They're
they'll
nice.
match the trim.
It's not shiny. Something like,
Something like that.
Yes, exactly.
They'll
It- it
match
really
the trim
it
then.
looks like wood. It's not that real shiny stuff that,
No. Yeah, we
this
tried,
is Hampton, Intex. Intex Hampton.
is that what
which
that
is-
is?
It's a really nice railing.
Hang on a second. I can tell you, I just need to switch screens here for a second. I can tell you exactly what it is. Sometimes being remote has its perks. Okay, I found it. It's Premier Classic Series Composite by TimberTech. And
It's
it,
not that real shiny stuff.
no, it is not.
It's like a matte finish.
It's a little bit more of a matte. I'd say it's somewhere in between the two. The bright
Mhm.
shiny stuff is the hollow extrusions that you sometimes see. They slip over wood. This isn't designed to do that.
I don't like that stuff.
Do you have any samples of roof colors, the shingles that will be?
I'm sorry, you broke up.
Or the
Do you
roof,
happen to have any samples or can you give us some information about the colors of the roof shingles?
The roof is actually going to remain as it is now. It's that weathered wood asphalt shingle that's on the building currently. We're not touching the roofs as part of this work. That was the other reason why we were trying to pick colors on the hardy siding that were a little bit sympathetic with what was there because, you know, it's a very prominent, I mean, you saw in the rendering that depending on how the sun hits it, it comes off very brown or very bright, depending on the time of day.
But you didn't drop off we don't have any samples of the colors.
Of the roof, we're not touching it.
No, not the roof, the siding that you picked.
I included that in the pack. Do you need a physical sample?
Well, we should have a physical sample because the colors don't always really, they're not always true. You know, usually we do require a sample of the material just to put in the file. But, you know, it's hard to tell from the color sample in the book, but I'm sure it's fine. It's, I mean, I like things that are contrast. But it's fine. I mean, it's very neutral.
That was the intent. We
Right.
actually had a little bit bolder options when we reviewed it with the association, and they didn't like them. It was too different than all the rest of the buildings that were there.
So I was going
Right.
to ask, you know, I don't think this roof color goes really well with the taupe. I want,
That's not the roof color, Nancy, at all.
Okay.
In his rendering, that's not the roof color. A
No,
weathered wood, a weathered wood is what, like 90% of the houses in New Orleans have. It's dark.
Okay,
It's definitely not what he has in his rendering.
It's a little,
okay. Well, that would be better because it would contrast more against the taupe.
that was the,
Yeah, the one in your rendering is way too light. I mean, weathered wood is pretty dark. I have it on my house. And actually, because the buildings are so tall, I don't really think you see a lot of the roof.
no, the renderings are deceiving because they're assuming you're 400 feet back and, 30 feet in the air. A lot of that
Well-
you don't get from standing on the ground looking at the building.
Right. Right.
How many other buildings are on the property that will not be redone? You mentioned other buildings before.
We won't be touching any of the rest of the buildings.
Well, what
There-
are
there-
the rest of the buildings? What are we talking about?
They're like those pictures I showed you in the PowerPoint. They're all pretty much very similar.
Very similar.
Right. So Hancock has what, 5 buildings? Hancock has 5 buildings or 4?
3.
Oh, it has 3. And then there's how many other buildings are there? They're all part of Old Colony, correct?
In total, there are 7 other buildings, including the clubhouse.
Right. So as they deteriorate, they'll be replaced as well.
That's the plan. In the meantime, these 3 have deteriorated to the point where they need to be done. The others, we're doing everything we can to maintain and protect them to defer that. Because obviously this is a pretty expensive project and it's going to pass on to the owners. And we'd like to put off any other big hits for as long as we can.
Colors of the other building, do they blend or coincide with this taupe color that you're selecting?
They're sympathetic. It's really hard to tell here, but they're basically all bleached shingles with brown trim.
Okay,
So you're gonna have white trim.
We're gonna go with white trim, correct? And there's a
And
reason
white-
for that.
And white gutters.
White gutters and white railings. And the reason for that with the PVC trim is if you paint it a dark color, what happens is it absorbs too much of the radiant energy from the sun, and it expands and contracts in a crazy fashion and fails. The manufacturer won't warranty it with dark colors basically on it.
Right, but these buildings, these are kind of standalone, and as
Right.
as the other ones deteriorate, they'll be replaced to match.
Correct.
And maybe even different color schemes that aren't exactly the same.
It's nice in a development to see some variation so it doesn't all look cookie cutter, like a housing development.
Right. I think it'll be nice. I'm interested in seeing the board and batten made out. I haven't seen that in the hardy plank. I've only seen the clapboard. Most people use the clapboard.
Right.
If anybody happens to be in Provincetown at 90 Shank Painter Road across from Max Seafood
right.
Restaurant, Province Landing Apartments there, they're done in hardy with board and batten and trim. That also was a DBVW project that I was involved with in the construction of that. So it uses some of the same colors, and it uses both the cedar look and the board and batten.
Great.
Can you
Any
just
other questions?
clarify? I just have a question. Can you just clarify how many, because I'm looking at the picture, how many stainless steel doors there will be? Because I'm looking at these pictures and I really only see one if I'm looking at the right, this is at
There
the,
are, there are,
the
there are 4 on each floor in each building. So there's 12 per building. There's 36 of them in total. You can't see the ones in the back because they're actually on the deck.
Right, to the side. You
To the
would have
side.
to be on the deck to see them.
Exactly. The ones in front are actually on those very ends. We only had that one picture in the packet that showed them, but they're on both ends on just the first floor. And then they're on the deck on the backside on the upper floors. They're kind of in inconspicuous spots mostly, except for those 2 in the very front.
would it be possible to just, I just can't picture the stainless steel doors. Would it be possible to just paint the 2 that would really be very prominent? Because I don't know, what you're doing looks so nice, and then the stainless steel doors sort of seem so institutional. And I appreciate why you've chosen that, but I don't know, to me, it'll just, I'm just thinking when the sun reflects off of it, it'll look like a spaceship or something there.
That's fair. John, what do you think?
Yeah, we could paint the 2 bottom doors on each building. And honestly, you know, we want to do an attractive, we live there as the owners. And so, you know, even if it's not required, we may choose to go paint the upper doors too. Or the price, it might be moot because the price for the stainless doors might be so high that we're gonna fall back to the painted galvanized steel doors anyways.
Yeah, we just don't know at this point.
Well, what color are the doors now? They're brown?
They're brown.
So what would we paint them?
I think we'd want to stay with the light color since the trim is light.
Yeah, something that blends in.
Yeah,
Oh.
you don't want them to pop, certainly.
A taupe, have them disappear.
Yeah, right.
More taupe.
I like the Monterey. It's darker than the cobblestone. I mean, in the color scheme, right? I mean, are they really similar?
The Monterey's a little bit deeper.
I like the Monterey better.
I've
So
used
will the-
Monterey. I've used Monterey on other projects. And one of the disadvantages to Hardy is as you get darker, they don't hold up as well. When you get into the dark colors, they fade. And sometimes they warp from expansion, contraction, absorbing the heat. So part of our intent was the front of those buildings get a lot of sunlight. So we wanted to go with the lighter colors because we know they hold up better over time.
So we're using the cobblestone for the shingles and the Monterey for the board and batten?
And then inversing it on the middle
Right,
building.
but what about in the front where you see, I mean, that's the street side.
It'd be the same. Hang on.
Right, but you have a lot more shingles than you have board and batten.
Correct.
So on the front, you have mostly shingles, so most of it will be the cobblestone, correct?
Correct. And then the Monterey taupe is back in the recesses.
Oh, okay.
Let me
Oh,
draw
it's in the recesses.
in
And
here.
then what's the board and batten? It's the same color.
It would be the same color. It's this background color that, you know, we're trying to get that relief a little bit on the facade so that you get some movement on it.
Okay. I thought that the board and batten was a different color than the shingles, but it's not.
No, we're doing that with the material itself.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I mean, I think it will look nice having a dark and a light.
Yeah, I do too.
The buildings are so long and horizontal. We needed something to break it up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's fine. But you didn't want to use a different color on the vertical.
We thought it would be too jarring. Again,
Yeah.
the color combinations, you end up having to go darker, and we were trying to stay away from that darker piece. And when you get into the lights, there's only so many in the warm family. Then you start getting into the grays, and the grays that sort of wash out to white. It's a little
Right.
difficult.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I mean, I think it'll be nice. Something different. It's not horribly attractive right now.
No,
No,
it'll be improvement.
And what about the decking?
the decking, we were thinking composite like Trex. And
Right, did you have a color?
we'd be looking to go gray with that,
Yeah, I like the gray.
just so that it kind of, blends in and it looks like it's been weathered. And you start getting into some of the darker colors and they get kind of hokey anyway. And they fade.
I like the gray better than the browns myself.
Yeah, the brown turns into like a weird, washed out puce almost after 10 years.
I think it'll be fine.
And then the underside of the structure, we would also paint a gray so that it just kind of disappears.
Now, are you trimming out any of the windows?
We are trimming them out. That will all be trimmed out with the PVC again and that sort of that white, off-white color. Again, we don't want it to look like a refrigerator.
With the a stainless refrigerator.
Well, there's much more to trim that's noticeable.
Yeah, there's a lot of trim.
There is a lot of trim, and it's kind of hard to tell from the street, but there are also a lot of gutters and downspouts on that building because there's all
Yeah.
different kinds of roof forms and things that get in places. And
Well, then you have the brick, so that doesn't really,
the brick
Are the
would,
gutters and downspouts going to be replaced?
yes, they are.
And what color will they be?
They'll all be white.
White. Okay.
and then you had some lights in there too. Are you replacing lighting?
We're replacing all of the exterior lighting on the building because they're either non-functional or beyond their useful life now. So as part of this, we want to replace the light fixtures that are out on the decks where the units are, as well as at the entrances and the egress doors from the stairs. Let me go back to this because I did include that in the product information
Right.
at the end. And we did make sure that these all comply with the cutoff requirements for the lighting ordinance.
What about the large lights that are on, they look like they're on the third floor on the tower. I'm looking at Hancock 3. And there's large, looks like spotlights or,
I'm flipping back through the pictures, bear with me.
there.
Those
What
are,
are those?
those are wall packs that are gonna remain because they actually light the parking lot.
Okay. That's the only light that illuminates the whole parking lot?
Yes. So the WL1 fixtures are actually next to the patio doors from each unit out to the deck.
Nice.
We also have to provide some emergency lighting and exit signs, illuminated exit signs on those stairwells at the decks. There aren't any now. And then emergency light battery packs at the main entrances. And then these wall packs would be at the egress doors from the stairwells at grade.
At grade,
At grade. The 4 doors at the bottom of those stairs.
right.
And again, they have a nice severe cutoff, so we're not throwing light all over the place.
Hmm.
And the entrances to the buildings, actually, there's a flat ceiling at the
Yeah.
entrances. And we're gonna replace those rather ugly fixtures that are there now with slim surface mounted LEDs. Again, all downlighting right to the entrance.
Are you redoing the signs on each building over the doors, the front doors? The names.
Part of that will be budget driven, but if we do, they're going to be identical to the ones that are there. We'll just make them out of a composite plastic material rather than the chipboard that they're currently made of.
Okay, and they'll be exactly the same size?
Yeah, we've actually had a couple rot off other buildings and we've had them made identical to what's there now.
How many units are in this property? I'm just curious.
143 units,
Wow.
and 90 of them are in these 3 buildings.
Oh,
Wow.
well, they're nice because people can walk to town.
Right, yes, no, there's a real
They're
advantage.
nice. The ones that have been redone are really nice. They're really nice. Anybody else have any questions, comments? So we're gonna paint the stainless steel doors on the visible side, a neutral color. And we have composite railings, decking, and hardy plank for the siding with a board and batten pattern and a straight shingle. And the lighting, to be replaced, seems to look nicer than what's there.
Thank you.
Do you anticipate doing very much landscaping?
Yes. The part of the problem that's the structural conditions that have led us to where we are now is because the grade of the buildings have changed since the 70s, and it's actually at the sill plate level of many of the buildings. So we're going to excavate down about 10 inches. We had Coastal Engineering do the design and backfill with Riverstone, as well as create a bunch of underground drainage. And we've retained a landscape designer. And what we've asked her to come up with is a design of native plantings, low maintenance, less shrubbery that requires a lot of maintenance, more grasses, things like that. So she's in the process of doing that now. That ultimately will depend on what the building costs and how much budget we have left.
So when you've made a decision about that, will you be coming back to us?
We
With the
assumed we would need to do that. And we will, and we would, we could have our ideal design done in a few weeks, but I think we're probably 6 weeks away from knowing how much money we think we're going to have left to spend on landscaping. So, we're mid-April or April, mid-May, some point in June, we could come back with our proposed landscape plan.
Well, this
Yeah,
this applies as a preliminary review, right?
I believe this is not a this is a preliminary review.
Okay.
So you
Yes.
still have to come back for a final review.
Yeah.
You could have just come for a final and skipped the preliminary, but that's fine. I mean, maybe you'll have things firmed up by then.
Right.
doors, the exact doors that you know, that you're gonna use. And maybe you could submit just a sample of the material of the hardy plank itself, if you can get a sample. I'm not sure. I think you can get them from like Mid Cape Center or something, but you know, if you could submit the color samples, the two colors, just so that we can enter it into the file. And if you have a color specifically picked out for the trim that is not white, then if there's a color sample for that, you know, unless it's so close, it's not going to make a difference. You could submit that as well.
Will you need 8 samples?
No, I don't think so. I think we could have one sample. I mean, unless we could, you know, leave it at the town hall. People could look at it at the, what do you guys think? I don't really, you know, it's hard to get those samples from the hardy plank. If you can cut them, you know.
I mean, I feel like as long as the color is the same as in our packet, then that wouldn't be necessary. Certainly would be more burdensome for you.
Yeah, if you could just get one, if it's easy to get a sample so that we could put it in the file. You know, if not, I don't think it's completely necessary. I'm not sure if we had a sample for the for the police department. Did we, Nancy? Did we have an actual sample?
Yes, we did.
We did.
Yeah, but
Right,
only
we-
one. I agree with you, Bernadette. One for the file would be very, very helpful.
Yeah,
We
one
will get it for you.
If anybody wants to see it, we can leave it, you know, in an envelope at the town hall. People could look at it.
Sure.
Right.
Okay, then then there's nothing to vote on because it is just a preliminary review, and then you can come back, you know, whenever you're ready for a final review.
I think we'd like to be on your next meeting.
Okay, all right, and then that should be, you know, relatively quick.
Great. Thank you very much.
And we'll get those
All
samples
right,
in the meantime.
thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Thanks.
It'll be a nice addition to town.
Yes, very nice.
It will be a great improvement.
That it will. Thank you all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we do have the minutes from March 25th to approve. Has everybody skimmed through those?
Yes.
Yes. I just, whenever you're ready, Bernadette, I have 2 comments.
Okay,
Okay?
go ahead.
All right. Under Wild Water Collective, Melanie has her Melanie, are you? She's there. Okay. I see her there. Under Wild Water Collective, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th sentence down. The proposed sign is exactly the same shape as the other signs on the building and is matching location as previous sign. That's not totally accurate. It's close, but not accurate.
Okay, so how should I fix it?
We should just take the sentence out.
Okay. Let me fix it.
If the committee agrees with me.
Yeah, that's
Right,
fine.
because
Yeah,
she was only having one sign.
at one point, all the signs on the building were the same, I think. And now
Correct.
they're all individual, so they
Right.
don't all.
10 yen changed that, and so that's not accurate. And then on the third, not the third page, I'm looking on the second, next to the last page.
Okay.
Somewhere in there, if you like, if you could insert that Mr., not Boyle, Mr. Ridgway asked me to send him copies of my images.
Oh, okay.
And I did. I sent him, you could put in parentheses, 6 images were sent, shared. And then my next question is the last statement there. Ridgeway would tentatively come back before the ARC.
That's what he commented, yes. He said he would tentatively come back before the ARC. He said that at the last meeting.
Did we agree to that he would tentatively come back?
That's just what he said he would
Well,
do.
that means by May 13th. It might be before.
Yeah, bye. Yeah, he said bye before, bye. That was his exact wording. I've
Well,
listened
I
to it
believe
over
you.
and over
I know. No, your notes are incredibly detailed, but so we left it that he may come back by May 13th, or sooner? Or, I mean, how did we leave it?
Well, he had to get some professional advice.
Right.
And so as soon as he gets that professional advice and comes up with a planting plan, I'm sure he'll come back. And if he doesn't, then we will notify, them again that they are due to be back.
Yeah. Okay. I wish we would have left that a little bit firmer, that whenever you have the plans, whenever you're ready, we'd like to see you again.
So do you
we
just want
can't-
me to take the date out? And just say Ridgeway would like to come back before the ARC when he has his plans?
Is that what he said?
No, he said he would like to come back by May 13th, 2021.
All right, then leave it there. Then leave it there that way. But I'm just thinking as far as process.
Okay, yeah, well, I can change it however you want me to change it.
No, because it should be, it should accurately reflect what he said, not what we,
Well, she listened to the tape, so she did.
I know.
listen to the
I
tape.
know.
So she can re-listen to it, and if it's something different, change it. But if he doesn't come back by, mid-May, then we'll contact him again.
Okay. All right. No, I was just reading all this transcript, and it was incredibly accurate and filled with details. And then shame on us, we didn't end it with, with a definitive statement of what's next or how are we going to proceed. But that's
Well,
up to us.
That was kind of what we did on the last one. We said by March 25th, we want you to come back, and they weren't coming back. So I contacted Abe
Okay.
myself.
Okay. Got it.
So
All right.
if they don't come back in a timely fashion, then we'll contact them and say, did you work on this design, and what are you proposing?
Sure,
Go
sure.
to the next step.
It's just a reminder to me, I guess, to make sure that when we end a meeting, we're clear on what's the next steps. But I understand what you're saying. We'll just leave it as is. Thank you very much.
Okay, anybody want to make a motion to accept the minutes?
I think I have to change them first, Bernadette, before we can accept them.
Okay,
I'd rather, since there's a lot of changes, I'd rather make the changes so that everybody approves of them first. If that's okay.
I think there's just one sentence that you're leaving out.
You're just
And I'm
reading-
adding Nancy's comments about the
Oh,
images.
on the,
And
okay.
I don't know, I'll do whatever you guys want to do.
I have no problem approving these minutes with the changes as recommended. You don't need to
Okay.
come back again, Melanie, if the committee agrees with me.
Okay. I can make those changes. I'll be happy to.
Yeah, I know you'll be just fine, rather than do it again and come back
Okay.
again.
Okay.
Does everybody agree with that?
Yep,
So I have
Okay.
a motion by Nancy. Who seconded?
I'll second it. Carol.
Okay,
Carol, thank
all in
you, Carol.
favor? All in favor, Nancy,
Aye.
Paige,
Abstention.
abstention, Carol,
Aye.
Bernadette, aye. Motion passes 3-1-0. Is that right?
Yep.
No, it's 301, I think.
3-0-1.
The abstention is, yeah.
Yep.
3-0-1. Okay, last on the agenda, did everybody get the application in their packet?
Yes.
The application, do you want to just look that over, and then we'll let Ada know if we want any kind of changes to the application?
I had a few thoughts, Bernadette.
I have a question. If the line that's highlighted in yellow, is that's a change? Is that a change?
Yes, because it was, they were able to bring it in by noon and Ada changed it to 9 AM so that
Oh,
the packets could be made
Yeah.
up and,
Yeah.
you know, and gotten out to us.
Right.
You know, that is even, you know, cutting it
It's close.
close.
Right.
Tuesday and then.
I'm really
reading
surprised that it's cut that close. I
I
think
can't even meet that deadline either for me to get packets out. Everybody, I do it Monday night. Yeah, that is hard for me to meet that deadline
Why
too.
why don't we change it to Monday?
Yeah,
Or change it, you know, give us a couple, if the packets are going out Tuesday, I think the application should be in, you know, that's too time consuming for Melanie to run over there and make all the copies and leave them
Right.
outside.
yeah.
it should be in the Friday before.
Yeah, I like that too.
That's even better.
I think this whole paragraph is confusing. Think of reading this as a layperson. Applications must be submitted 13 days prior to the meeting. Okay, fine. Sign permit applications. What must be submitted by I think,
So let's separate it and say, sign permit applications must be submitted by Friday, 9 AM, or it could be noon of the prior week.
yes.
Okay.
I mean,
Yes.
how do we word that?
Just what you said.
Okay,
Must
so
be
so
submitted
break
by
it into-
Friday.
In the week before the meeting, the prior week, the week
Okay.
before the meeting, prior week sounds weird.
Sign permits, sign permit applications,
Mhm.
Submitted by Friday,
submitted
12
by-
noon of the preceding week.
Preceding, that's,
Perfect,
yeah, that's excellent.
perfect. I love it.
Are you writing this down, Mel?
I sure did. I have signed permit applications must be submitted by noon of by
Noon
noon on Friday, right? By noon on Friday of preceding week before ARC meeting.
Okay, and then the other applications, I mean, what are they called? I mean, if they're signed permits and then there's,
Building renovations, exterior alterations, building renovations, maybe, perhaps?
I mean,
Well,
but
there-
fences,
I think
fences
we
don't,
need to define it. There's too many applications there. I think that's going to be confusing.
I know.
fences and stuff like that and color changes, they don't have to be in. The fences and stuff like that have to be in 2 weeks before?
I don't think, no. Because it's what needs to be 2 weeks before is what needs to be advertised in the
Right.
Cape
And
Chronicle,
so
the Cape Codder.
Right, so the only things that need to be advertised with a final review is, we need to define that.
Okay,
I mean, don't you think?
yes.
Because fences, color, if you're gonna paint your front door, that doesn't need to be advertised.
No,
So
mean,
why
I
don't we
didn't-
just put applications bracket that must be advertised, close bracket, must be submitted, applications
Right,
that
but-
must be advertised.
But how do people know what has to be advertised? Shouldn't we say?
That's kind of hard to define in 1 or 2 sentences.
it
because
really
it's a
is.
Long list, and there's exceptions, and there's exclusions,
Okay.
and then there's,
So we should say, see that page in the zoning bylaw.
do it that way. Applications bracket as per zoning bylaw number, yada, 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 close bracket, must be submitted 13 days prior to the meeting,
Application is.
but no later than 3 PM. What does that mean? No, that just hangs in there. Must be submitted 13 days prior.
By 3 PM.
By 3
13 days.
13 days prior to the advertised meeting.
Yeah, I know, but 13 days prior, no later than 3 PM. The whole
Uh-huh.
sentence is screwy.
No,
We can,
no later than
we
3 PM
we
should
can
be,
say by 3 PM,
right?
13 days prior to meeting.
Right.
So, I mean, the things that go,
I think we should just say that must be advertised.
Yeah.
I know, but how do people know what needs to be advertised?
Can they?
That's-
call it the
Ada will
necessary-
tell them. Ada will tell them. They'll be told at the building department.
Can't
Well, they
they,
have to pick up the application so they can ask them.
I don't know how you answer that, Bern, in one sentence or two sentences.
I don't either.
All right, so it says changes which affect the appearance of a building, whether or not such work requires a building permit, including but not limited to changes in the color, design, or character of exterior building materials, windows or doors, light fixtures, signs, and appurtenant elements shall be subject to review as provided in the sections on preliminary and final plan review below.
Good grief.
And
Look at
then
the
it says
back.
preliminary review and final review.
That's different. Look at the back of the application. Maybe that can give us some clues.
Signs, new or modified decks, accessory structures such as fences, flagpoles, and trellises, installation of siding or roofing, door and window replacements, and work which does not require a building permit are generally subject only to preliminary review. So, I mean, those guys could have just come for preliminary review. We
They
could have
did.
approved them. Huh?
They did. They did just come for a preliminary review.
No, but it looks like we could approve them based on just,
Could have, looks
Okay.
like we could have approved them.
I was told it was just preliminary, so in this case, it would have to be advertised. So it
Okay, so
never,
they could have come just for they could have come for final plan review and not come for a preliminary.
yeah.
well, maybe they do to see
They
what.
wanted to.
They wanted to, and there's some things they couldn't answer yet.
But it's very, very confusing.
It's subjective. Look at the back of the application page.
Okay. That's for sign review. Oh, okay, for exterior of. Okay, so so you can skip the preliminary review and just do the final review. I think it's.
That still
really-
doesn't help us with that sentence.
Well,
I think we just need to say applications that must be advertised.
okay,
It just gives us some wiggle room there. Must be
Okay.
submitted. Applications that require to be, come on, help me out.
That are required to be advertised.
Thank you. Must be submitted 13 days prior to the meeting.
Okay,
couldn't it say for clarity, call and
yes.
then give it phone number?
Mhm.
She'll love that.
Well,
You would hate that. She'd kill me. Applications that are required to be advertised must be submitted. Just writing all this down. Okay,
But no later than 3 PM. I mean, all of a sudden that just hangs in there. Okay, leave it there. I don't care.
prior to,
She
or
doesn't want,
by
yeah, she
3
doesn't want
PM.
somebody
By
walking
3
in at 5 minutes to 4. I mean, I don't blame her. I don't blame her at all. I don't blame any of you. But it just hangs in there funny.
How about if we say
by
by
3 PM,
Well,
say
by 3
You
PM?
know, why don't we just change no later than 3 PM and put it before the submitted no later than 3 PM, 13 days prior to meeting. Insert that before the 13th.
Sure, fine. It's better than what's there now,
Better than what's there.
but as long as we have in brackets, applications that require advertisement.
Applications that are required to be advertised must be submitted by 3 PM 13 days prior to meeting.
That sounds better. Write that down, Melanie.
I got it. It's on there. I got it down. Woohoo!
You already got it down. She's our star.
She did it.
I did it. Thank you for your help doing that. I couldn't even think about how to fix it.
So one other thing that we should probably, if we have those people's email, the ones, that just came before us, maybe we should tell them that they don't need to submit.
8 copies of
Material.
everything.
I mean, they don't need to submit this whole packet again, so. waste
All
of
right.
paper.
I'll
You
email
know,
them.
I don't know why they don't just put in the things that are pertinent. They put in the whole, they put in, they print too many things. You know, they print like every kind of CertainTeed product instead of, or Hardy Plank product instead of just the ones they're using.
I think it
Right.
was easier for them just to circle the ones that applied and then just run
Okay.
off all these multiple copies.
Well, I
That-
know, well, they did circle them. I thought that they did, but why
They
did
did.
they include a lot of stuff that they weren't even using?
Who knows?
It was a
Anyway.
50-page application. It took me forever to scan that in too.
I mean,
Can't
it's
imagine.
really it's a waste of paper, but,
I have a question on a different subject.
okay.
The VFW Main Street property that's being proposed, are we not reviewing that because it's a, what is it, 4 something B applicant?
401C.
What project? I don't
Not
know. I'm not even
401C, the same as the Penrose.
Well,
what
the
is-
Penrose came before us.
I know, but they did that voluntarily. They didn't have to.
Okay, okay, so I think if it's a 40B that they don't have
40B,
to,
thank you.
yeah, they don't have to follow the rules.
And so that's why we're not reviewing the new proposed property there on Main Street.
I
Okay.
don't even know where it is.
It's affordable housing. And
In the
design
sun,
sketches have been in the newspaper.
are you talking about the VFW or are you talking about the Masonic? Hall?
Masonic, yeah, it's the
You
Masonic.
said
Hall.
VFW.
Oh, I apologize. I meant Masonic. Thank you,
You're right.
Carol.
Yeah, it's Masonic.
That's been in the paper and that's going to be a 40B. So I guess that's why we're not seeing it.
How many units?
17, I think.
Yeah, 17, 18.
I haven't seen any of it. I don't get the paper. I hate to say.
It's a major, but it's going to be all affordable housing. And then I realized, well, it's 40B and that's probably why it's not coming before us.
Well, it's been saying in the paper that the builder has the discretion to build any design he chooses.
Right.
I guess there's discussion that that perhaps he would be willing to build a farmhouse style with a barn. That would be something similar to what had been there 100 years ago. That I think was what was in the paper.
Right.
But
His quote got my attention when he said he could build any style he wants to.
which I mean, that's not a designated historic area. I
They're-
mean,
No,
every one of
they
those homes is old.
They tried, but the town turned it down. They tried to get a certain area to be a historic area, but the voters turned it down. They didn't want to be. I don't know why. I think it's, it's a very historic area, really.
Yes,
a lot
it
of old-
Every
one
one
of
of those houses almost is.
It's one of the few we have left.
Can we go over a couple of thoughts that I had about the application for the review? I feel like there's some wording that needs a little bit of tightening, and I just wanted to throw these thoughts out to you and see what you all thought. Are we ready?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, so in the, at the top, when it's talking about approval is required for new or revised existing signs, I think, it lists all these things. And we touched on this the last time we met. We talked about exterior alterations. And well, for one thing, I think that landscaping, because people do have to seek approval for landscaping should be listed in that. But
I
we
don't think they have to come for us
You-
for land.
Don't approve,
You
you
don't?
don't approve landscaping.
I thought they had to have approval for landscaping.
No,
No, the landscaping goes with the overall aesthetics, like when CVS came before us, they had a landscape plan and it kind of goes with the packet. But if you're just doing landscaping, you don't come before us.
Okay.
So if you're proposing a new building, you're required to have a landscape plan and we can make suggestions. But if you're just changing landscaping, like really those people don't, they don't really need to submit a landscape plan to us.
Okay, I was thinking about the Church of the Holy Spirit
but
discussion.
that's a different situation. Has to do
Okay.
with
Okay,
sort of-
That was
has
part
to be
of
covered.
the solar array. That was part of the solar array, just like, the medical center or something, they had, part of it is how they're gonna landscape it. But if somebody just wanted to re-landscape in front of a church, they wouldn't have to come before us.
Right.
okay, okay. So when they're listing, and we talked a little bit about this when we last met, color changes, awnings, etc. And do you think that it would be worthwhile to kind of tighten up the wording? And because we had talked about, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. The restaurant we discussed, Rock Harbor Grill was putting a cover over a patio. I mean, do you think that is this too much nitpicking that maybe we should also list, if we're listing awnings and we're talking about anything that anything in an exterior position should be approved? I mean, do you think we should put something about the covering over a patio? Or
Well,
not?
I think that is that's a permanent structure, like a permanent thing that, you put up once and you leave up, or maybe you take it down at the end of the summer. I mean, I would say that is an awning. It's not, that's what it's called, isn't it? Or is it called a patio cover? I mean, it's basically.
called an awning. Unless
It's
it's
called an awning.
a extended roof off a building that's covering a patio, that would be different.
Okay,
Carol, where are you reading? What are you referring to?
I'm looking at the back of the application.
Okay, that's a really short abbreviated list.
So
Right,
we can make
That's
it longer.
That's the problem with lists. If they're not complete and comprehensive, it can give the wrong impression.
the other thing that I was wondering about on the fees, should it $10 for a sign review and 25 for other? Is that's a broad term. Is other understood what that is intended to mean? Or should there be more clarity what what you would pay for $25, or what would require a $25 application.
Anything other than a sign, I guess.
Other than a sign.
But I mean,
Okay.
a fence is as simple as a sign, if not simpler, but do they pay $25?
Well, that's why I wondered if there was,
I mean, I can ask Ada if there's how, is it just sign is a sign is a sign and everything else is an other? I mean, they get revenue for the town, I guess.
right,
Yeah, I think she would be the one that determines what the fee should be. And I always understood anything other than a sign was $25.
okay. You know,
Other,
one-
other stuff.
One of the things I would love to see in Orleans, and I know that this goes beyond our committee, but I wish, I've lived in other towns where it was required by everyone to have a number on their building. And I think when you live in a tourist area, if there were buildings, or if there were numbers on all businesses, and people, who aren't familiar with the area are searching for something, I think it maybe makes traffic flow better, or I'm surprised the fire department doesn't require it. I just think it's a safety thing.
I thought the fire department did require
But there are
numbers.
a lot of houses that don't have numbers on them, and a lot of businesses that don't, because I know I've searched for buildings that don't have numbers.
They're supposed to.
Yeah,
they are?
they're-
Okay.
so it's a fire hazard if they don't.
That really comes into play. I agree with you, Carol, and that comes into play when you're getting your inspections done.
Right.
The fire comes and that's when they can hold you accountable. I think after that, it kind of like falls to the wayside and just good common sense.
Okay. Just a thought.
No, I agree. I agree. The numbers are important.
But I think they are required. Maybe they're just slipping by. I have no idea.
Well, I think it's hard for the town to keep up with it,
Probably.
and they can do it when they are inspected. But after that, it's sort of like it's leaving it up to the homeowner. I don't think they give out citations for it, that's for sure. But not a good time to find out they can't find your house when you need them.
Right, exactly.
So we just put brand new big posts with numbers on them out in the front of our house. I want to make sure they know exactly where I am.
Maybe the older we get, the bigger the numbers.
The bigger the numbers. I think you're right.
The better chance that they're coming to see you.
There you go.
Right.
All right, anything else?
Nope.
No,
All righty, then I am going to ask
Adjourn.
for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I
Hey.
move that we adjourn the meeting at 7:53.
Second page.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Motion passes 400.
got it.
All right, until the next time.
Okay,
Night.
thank you.